I'm very excited for this panel where we will introduce our new Academy of Education and Research under the auspices of the new Corporate Medical Officer for M42 patient care platform. And let's try to understand how you will change the care, the education, the training of our staff on this. And I would like to start with you, Vidya. And I would like to ask you, as responsible for this Academy of Education and Research, what are your primary goals and how do they align with the Corporate Medical Office and the company vision?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for the kind introduction, Amandeep. And I'm very excited to be here to launch M42's Academy of Education and Research under Global Patient Care Platform in Corporate Medical Office. So one of the primary goals of our academy is to serve as a hub for cutting-edge research and as the best clinical education provider in health tech company. For example, in clinical education, we offer continued medical education to the physicians and to nursing and allied healthcare professionals via International Training Center to make sure that all our staff are compliant according to the regulatory guidelines. And in addition, we also conduct upskilling activities for our healthcare professionals. When it comes to the research, by facilitating collaboration among clinicians, researchers, data scientists, and healthcare professionals, M42 Academy will generate novel insights, and also it will create innovative solutions that will drive advancements in patient care. This directly supports our CMO Corporate Medical Office and also our company M42's mission, transforming lives through innovation. As we all know that advancements or the latest technologies in research will create new treatment modalities, and it will also enhance the patient experiences. So that's one of the primary goals that I would like to share with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya. You are setting the bar quite high on this starting. And we have Alex, Vice President for Clinical Education. He is working with M42 for a while now already in this area. But now I would like to ask you exactly what kind of educational programs and training will the Academy provide to our healthcare professionals, and how will they impact in the care of our patients on one side, and also how will they keep the pace with the advancements in healthcare tech?
That's great. Thank you very much. So we're excited to be under the new Academy to really unify the best of all of our different assets under one roof. I see a lot of our great vendor partners out here who have helped us so far on this journey with simulations and such forth. As we move into EI, we're really going to embrace the ability to have digital twins in education, which is really a first in the area. So you'll be able to not take just this patient, this scenario, but really gamify that out to see what would happen if this happens during the shift. How do I anticipate changes in care in there? We're really taking the benchmark that medical knowledge doubles every 72 days. 72 days. So I graduated in 1995. Imagine how much education has gone on between 95 and now. There's no way to keep up for that. So by incorporating Med42's AI LLM at the point of care, we can take all that continuous knowledge and get the benefit of the entire world of knowledge at the patient bedside. It's sort of like a virtual mentor for each patient.
Thank you. Thank you. Adam, now up to you. You have the largest group of professionals under your responsibility now, and you have a lot to do. And they are very occupied in the daily care of our patients. How will you guarantee that they will have the right education, the right training, and still keep doing their daily job treating patients?
I think first things first, making sure that the training is appropriate, it's safe, it's governed, and it's appropriate to their area of care. That's first and foremost, and that's someone like me making sure we deliver that appropriately with the team around us. Beyond that, then, it's innovating things like M42 and other large language models into care, governing that process, making it the path of least resistance for our nursing teams or allied professionals, making it open, making it transparent, allowing it to make mistakes in its infancy and allow us to govern that, make sure it's, again, safely done, and that we take our teams through that and ultimately build a much brighter future. I mean, Alex can give you multiple evidences, displays already of how it's working and how we can use it in clinical care today. My job is to make sure that all of the team can use that, they can use it safely, well, and we corporately can understand that we've looked at that, we've governed it, and it's safe for us to take forward as an organisation, business, and right down to the individual nurse working today.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much. I will come back to you now, Vidya, because we are quite a large organization. We have different hospitals, diagnostic institutions, imaging, laboratory. We have Diaveron that is also on this. This means 25 different countries, a lot of people there. How will you integrate all of this under this your new Academy of Education and Research? Do you have a plan already? Did you discuss it with these guys?
Not yet, but I have in my brain.
So the question is for all of you.
I can share, but definitely we can have a chat, yeah. Sure. Thank you for bringing this very important topic, Dr. Fernando. As we all know that M42 has tens of hospitals and hundreds of healthcare facilities under the organization globally. And currently, the research or education, ethics approvals, publications, outreach programs, these are all fragmented and sometimes even in silos across our organization. So one of the goals, as I mentioned, as an academy at M42, we will create frameworks. For example, creating standard operating protocols or implementing new ways of working that would enhance or we will make sure that there will be a seamless collaboration across the hospitals, right? So that is first and foremost. And another thing is at corporate level, we are also planning to establish an independent research ethics committee, which will take care of all the research ethics approvals across the hospitals. And we will act as a single point of contact for all the healthcare facilities under M42. And most importantly, to the regulatory authorities as a single point of contact. That will ease the process when we're going forward. And another aspect is what we are thinking to establish is an approvals office, like centralized approvals office, which will take care of approvals of research proposals, grant submissions, or publications and outreach programs, so that we will have an oversight at corporate medical office across the organization. And we are also planning to implement corporate strategy for research that would enhance seamless collaboration across our facilities. And most importantly, where we are focusing is to bring all these research efforts, like, by consolidating all these research efforts and bring under one organization and centralize under one umbrella. So as we all know that by consolidating all these research efforts or actually even to bring together like all our strategies and everything or sharing the best practices across the research facilities, what we can do is we can definitely enhance or accelerate the translation of research findings in clinical applications. This particular goal is actually supporting our mission by ensuring that if we find or if we establish advancements in one facility, all our patients across the organization will benefit from that because of sharing the best practices and so on. So yeah, so there are so many thoughts in my brain, and these are a few thoughts that I would like to share. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. But I told you that I would be asking things that are not on the script.
Sure.
So I'm sorry for that. But
no problem.
I think it's. But now I would like to listen from both of you. What are you asking her? What do you want for her as coordinator of this academy?
Okay, so maybe if so my background's nursing. I was an emergency nurse for 15 plus years, and I would say if we look at 70-30 or 80-20. 80% of the time, it doesn't matter if you're working in emergency care or end-of-life care. We do exactly the same thing. maybe at a slightly different pace, but a blood pressure is done as a blood pressure regardless of where the patient is. So the 80% we should make bread and butter, easy to do, and as innovative as we can to speed up that process. That allows us to concentrate on the 20% variance, depending on where the patient is, how sick they are. How can we build that, make that the path of least resistance, and really build a much bigger step forward in patient care, how it's delivered, how it's received, and their outcome. That would be the big step forward for us. How do we use AI to innovate in that direction, rather than looking at things that we're all going to do and we all do very similar anyway, maybe with a bit more pace to it. So.
Yeah, and I think we could follow up on that too, is that as much as I love the microphone, and most of you know I love a microphone in a stage, we want to move away from the sage on the stage. I don't want to take people off the bedside, put them in a conference room for 4 hours and give everyone the same lectures. So let's take midwives, right? We have some midwives who are trained at Greater Ormond Street, top of their game, they're great. We have some midwives from Fatma College, brand new, first in the nation, UA Nationals. They have very different learning needs. With AI, we can pinpoint their individual learning needs at their own pace in a language that they're comfortable with in order to get them to the same level of quality where we need on the bedside. So that allows the trainers and the educators to spend time at the bedside, not in front of PowerPoint, doing the same thing for everybody. The other part that we're following along with, if we follow up from like BioButton, is continuous data feedback for education, right? Education is not annual competencies. I'm sorry if you're from Lipton-Cott or Elsevier, but like we're not checkboxing anymore, right? We're going to take data from the EMR and say, you have done 10,000 IV sticks this year with 0 infections. You don't need to come to my room and show me to do another IV stick. However, you have done 2 IV sticks, they both extravated and they both ended up in the ICU, so you need to come see me for a little extra help, right? So getting the data from the EMR, feeding into the learning management system to identify those individuals that then I can spend the face-to-face time with, they will help out for better outcomes.
That's a huge task that you have in front of you, to tailor the educational program to specific needs of specific people. And in fact, eventually technology and the AI can support on that. But for that, you need the right data. Yes, Adam.
I think there's almost a step further too, where that AI can know as an individual. Alex wants to see a video on how to draw a cannula. I might like to read. Somebody else might need a podcast. So AI is that intuitive that it can understand, okay, you're all getting the same lesson, but in 3 different formats because it works best for you as an individual. So,
yeah, sorry to jump on that. Also to add an equity point of that, in that we have nurses from 32 different countries who work for us. They've all had very different access to clinical education. So if you're from the Philippines, if you're from Egypt, if you're from India, that's different than if you were from London or where I'm from Boston. So by opening up that AI, it gets you to where you are and allows you to come up to the same level. Or if there's terminology, right? Like I'm a Tylenol person. I'm like, I don't know what paracetamol is. Well, now the EMR can feed that in and it can say, oh, hey, for you, this is the same from where you're coming from. So really customizing where I'm at and where I need to be.
I also take from your answers, and coming back to one of the objectives of our corporate medical officer, it is clinical governance. I can take from your answers that you believe, and I also believe, that education can have a high impact on the clinical governance, enhancing safety, quality, whatever. But to measure that and to prove that we will be successful, we need some KPIs for that. Have you thought about this?
Yeah, our main KPI in education, number 1 is how comfortable do they feel in their job? Right? The worst thing that can happen in education is people aren't comfortable asking questions that they don't know what to do. Right? If I go to a diabetes center and I ask a diabetes educator, what's a hemoglobin A1C? What's a good number? If she doesn't know, that's not great. But what's worse is that she's not comfortable to find out. So by having a trusted resource that we've said, use this model, this can answer your question for this patient, she or he can go get that information for themselves that results in better outcomes for there. And the KPIs really is retention of the staff, patient referrals in there, and ultimately satisfaction of the encounter.
I just on the last day of my nurse training, so way back in the very late 90s, the lecturer on that day said to us as a group, you will never ever be this well versed in nursing practice because you can't keep up with everything we've just spent 5 years teaching you. We're now going to put that in your pocket and you will be as up to date as 15 seconds ago. That's the iteration and that's the step forward. You ask Med42 this morning a question, you might ask it this afternoon and it's slightly changed because something has changed where it's gone looking for its information. So it's a real big step forward. How do we govern it? That's for us to kind of figure out and look to the future. Yeah, that's your problem.
Yeah, I'll take it. Thank you.
Right. Now I would like to go to another aspect, how education interacts with research. We talk a lot about translational research, from research to clinical practice, but I would like to talk about another translational thing, is the interaction between education and research. Do you want to expand on that? Maybe we could start by you, Vidya, and then you can have the...
Yeah, sure, definitely. So as I mentioned, so we do provide this clinical education across our hospitals, and some of them are like nurses or physicians and so on. And some of them are also doing research. So definitely by providing this clinical education, what are the latest best practices, and are there any international consortiums that came up with new guidelines? So if our staff is well equipped with all this knowledge, as as Alex mentioned, so it is very important that these people are up to date what is happening, what is the latest research, right? So that's the science and technology is evolving very fast, especially when you compare with the last 10 years. So when these people are equipped with this information, then we can easily, and these researchers can also bring that knowledge back to the research, right? So it goes both ways, as you mentioned. So I'm really looking forward to train our staff in a meaningful way, not just as a tick boxing exercise, as Alex mentioned. So people should understand why they are doing it and what is the purpose of learning this new knowledge. And it's not like just routine task, right? You just come and do your job, go home, right? So they should find a purpose. And we make our staff to find purpose, and they are automatically motivated. No Monday morning blues and nothing. They get up and then they do the research. I think that's what my thinking is. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya. Alex, you've been working a lot on education with nurses, with doctors, with everybody. Do they also ask you for being more involved on research?
Certainly, and we found two interesting different research models here at M42. So when I came in, we were all following Pender's Novice to Expert, which I see a lot of people looking, you're going to do nursing theory at M42? Yes, we do nursing theory at M42. And that works well for our Western educated nurses. But we also have been really privileged over the past year to train 150 UAE nationals to come up from lay positions into clinical positions at the bedside. And that model, the research says that the Penders and the Millers don't work. So we're using a different theoretical framework from the research called crescent of care model. And what that really does is recenter our education for a very local population. And with that, we've actually maintained a 92% retention of UAE nationals over the past 18 months at the bedside, which is amazing. It's usually about like 20. So by taking that evidence that says use this model for this population and incorporating it in the education setting, we really increase retention for everybody.
Thank you. Do you want to add something, Adam, on nursing research?
I think Alex pretty much touched on it when he said around, if you've done 100 tests and you're normal and you've done 2 and something's awry, researchers generally, we've come across a problem, we've researched it, found the solution. I think AI kicks us forward in that journey. It actually helps us recognize it. Certainly in the UAE, it can look right far back into the genome sequence and understand it much earlier for us. Maybe kick us forward a step or two in terms of patient-based research. So.
We have 5 minutes now. I would like to open to the audience for a couple of questions. Please. Can someone give a microphone?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Dr. Abir. I'm core faculty in residency program, family medicine. Mr. Alexander, I just want to know your experience in education. What is the best educational way to apply for residents and family medicine clinic-based, not hospital-based?
The best process is the one that works. So we've seen a lot of different ones between Western, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and here. And what works well in one setting will not work so well in the other one. So specifically for here, we really feel like we have to engage not only the learner, but also the learner's family to convey the expectations of the role and what they're going to see and not going to see in here. So specifically when we look at residencies here, it's providing individualized support depending on what your background is, right? So the model of sort of feed them to the wolves or we eat our young doesn't work here. Instead, we found social groups, family groups that come together help a lot, as well as bringing in different theoretical models, incorporating both other people that have done it before as mentors, in-a-flesh mentors, and less on this is the core competency committee and you didn't hit our requirements and so you're out of the program. And practically what that means is we generally extend residencies and fellowships on average about 6 more months than you would see in a Western culture. And resetting expectations to say, these benchmarks, if we extend them out, decrease the pressure a little bit, will really increase our retention and has resulted in a really good local workforce for us.
Okay, while I'm going back to my place, please.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Nada Abedin. I'm also an MD from Germany, and I've been looking into AI in healthcare and especially into the education space. So you've mentioned the benefits of AI in training, and I strongly believe in that as well, but how is that perceived? Like, are you seeing any differences in the different cultures you've mentioned from people coming here? How is it perceived to, like, I don't want to say replace, but, add on some education that is additional, but AI is not a person sitting in front of you, but you're either talking to a screen or you're just listening. It's just different from what we've learned before.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. So we have 2 clinical research projects going for AI at the bedside. One is with New York University and the other is with UAU. The early findings of that are 2 important ones I want to mention. One is everybody thought they were going to be in trouble by asking a question in the computer. So they're like, if I admit I don't know hemoglobin A1C and I'm a diabetic educator, I'm going to be fired. So we had IT turn off the ability for the managers to see your questions. So now it has to be one-on-one at the bedside if we're going to look, but they can ask it themselves. The second is voice to text. Our internationally qualified nurses were very uncomfortable having to fat finger in the question. So either cut and paste from the EMR, which is fine because we're inside our own firewall on our own sovereign crowd, or voice to text with our Doc42 system. If they can ask a question and it will do voice to text and then generate the answer, that got way more pickup than we would thought. The trust has never been an issue. They trust that machine more than they trust me, which is probably smart.
Okay, we have 1 minute 20 for another question.
Get the nurse.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elaine. I am an acute care nurse. So my question is, Dr. Vidya, you were mentioning earlier about translating research into practical applications. So for all of you, ma'am, sir, what do you think are the key challenges in translating cutting-edge research into practical applications in healthcare, and how can education programs address these gaps?
Yeah, very good question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So the main hurdle or challenge in translational science is lack of standardization and harmonization. If you see, even under M42, we have hundreds of healthcare facilities, and everybody is following maybe their own. In the hospitals, I think the best example, we are following many different EMR systems, isn't it? We are just one company. So you can imagine that globally, everybody has their own system, their own way of collecting the samples, doing the research, or data sharing agreements, or how they even collect the data. Now you see that everything is like in a holistic view at systems level. It is not just only genomics or only proteomics. So we collect data at every omics level, including the gut microbiome, and then we integrate at a holistic view to understand or to identify novel biomarkers or novel genetic variants associated with particular biomarkers. We cannot achieve this if everybody is doing in their little own way or using different technologies. So we should have, I think there are so many international consortiums as well, to formulate these new guidelines and what are the best ways to practice. And I was also one of the international consortium, tackling this, okay, we need to come up with the new standard operating protocols and we need to share with all the researchers or leading researchers in the field. Once we have this kind of strong and robust data where you can validate in an independent cohort, not just in one ethnic region, right, globally, then that would be easier to translate back into the clinical research, right? And real world evidence is also playing a huge role. So you can collect the real world data and then back translate to it. Yeah.
Okay, we are out of time. Thank you very much for a great session and a big round of applause to our panelists.
Thank you very much.